Owain, we mentioned Max Verstappen's title at the very start. He's crowned himself a four-time world champion, level with one of Red Bull's other favourite sons, Sebastian Vettel, who also won four in a row. But this year definitely wasn't as easy as 2023, as you've already alluded to with your moment of the season in Miami. Just talk us through his season. How big an achievement is it? Is it his best title, perhaps? Or would you say maybe 2021? Even though the controversial circumstances in which he won that, considering the opposition he was up against that year, does that still stand maybe above this year's?
I think 20. I think you have to give 2021 from it in terms of effort and the amount of difficulty. You know, particularly towards the last few races in 2021. You know, I'm not going to get into it, but a lot of it. But to withstand the kind of to have that better car in the first half of the season, and then to have your points advantage be eaten away and still have to drive so well. I mean, we're starting to see the mistake. You see, I think when you push all of these guys to their limit, that's when the mistakes creep in. We've seen it across every champion I've ever seen. You push, particularly when there's a battle. I don't think everyone is at their best. You don't see them with you don't see them at the kind of their imperious best that you would have seen maybe Max Verstappen last year with the better car. Like the mistakes do come in, but I think it's maybe it's that it's having that foreknowledge and I think it's a real champion's drive over the course of the season because it hasn't been easy. And yes, he's got more talent than in his little finger than I will ever have. But Max Verstappen is sort of there's only so much you can do with the car. It really did fall away from them this year. As I say, there was that period in the middle of the season where they just could not win a race. From sort of Austria onwards. I mean, Austria obviously was kind of the inflection point for some of the collisions between Lando and Verstappen this year. But I think that's because of he was having to fight so hard. He was having to get scrappy and I think sometimes you do have to do that, and it was just eking down the points and making sure the bulk of the work was done in that first third of the season to get enough wins to get that points advantage such that he could weather the storm. And I think it's the other thing you have to learn. You don't have to win every race. You don't have to win. I think I've said before that they have to teach it to Fernando Alonso, and I think they do have to teach it to all of these very, very fast guys that you don't win it on the days you win. A lot of the time you win it on the days you come second or third, or just getting enough points just to minimise that difference. And ultimately it meant that he never, the closest anyone ever got was Ferrari back in the early stages of the season, and that was it. But he, like I say, he put a champion's drive in, and even though they didn't tend to, they got overtaken in the teams points and things like that. And Red Bull did an absolutely astounding job of just maintaining their way right to the very end and sealing the deal a couple of races before the end.
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting sort of mental battle, I think, that Max Verstappen found himself in. It wasn't like it was direct on the track against Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc and the other drivers, but in the actual championship standings, he had such a buffer. It was just, like you say, about managing that points gap and making sure he didn't lose too many points. And I think that's the thing that really stands out for Verstappen this year is he's starting to learn that Lewis Hamilton approach. Take the third place, take the second place when it's on offer. Don't just try and win because you desperately want to win. You need to do the whole season as a package. It's not win, 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 win at all costs. It's take everything that you can get, maximize every single opportunity that you have. And that 24 races is a long old season. There is a lot of opportunity to gain. There is also a lot of opportunity to lose. He was very fortunate to gain 10 points, I think, in Austria when he and Lando had that initial collision, and we saw him get penalised and lose points as a result later in the season for some of his defensive moves. But yeah, I don't think that takes away from his title. He's put a wonderful season together, but he will be up against it next season. He's going for five in a row.